Greetings, family. Peace, love, and positive thinking. This is Guru, and thanks for visiting my channel. Meet Dr. Ashley Denmark, another doctor who says a Delta flight crew declined her medical help because she's black. Barely a day after Delta began investigating whether a flight crew member discriminatorily declined onboard care from Dr. Tamika Cross because she's black, another doctor of color has reported a similar incident with the airline. Resident family physician Dr. Ashley Denmark says that during Delta Flight 2215 from Seattle to Hawaii, she responded to a flight crew intercom request for medical assistance. But when she approached the flight attendants and offered her services, Dr. Denmark says her medical credentials were doubted and she was repeatedly rebuffed. Quote, I was greeted by two Caucasian women and a Delta flight attendant, Denmark recounted in a post on Melanin in Medicine, a blog about the experiences of doctors of color. Quote, I quickly asked, what's going on? Then I stated, I'm a doctor, how can I help? Ultimately, Dr. Denmark couldn't help at all, despite showing her hospital badge as proof of her medical credentials. As she describes it, the Delta flight attendant instead opted for two white nurses, not doctors, two white nurses, to assist and asked Dr. Denmark to return to her seat, flouting medical protocol of deferring to doctors, not nurses, for making healthcare decisions. Isn't that something? Flouting medical protocol of deferring to doctors, not nurses, for medical healthcare decisions. That's Quote, as an African American female physician, I am too familiar with this scenario, Denmark wrote. Commonly, I'm mistaken for as an assistant, janitor, secretary, nurse, student, etc. Even when I have my white coat on, I'm called these names more frequently than I would like instead of Dr. Denmark. The same brand of racial microaggression that fuels people's disbelief that women of color are doctors also informs how Dr. Denmark says she's been trained to respond gracefully to discrimination or else risk being framed as being too, quote, hostile. African American women comprise less than 2% of the nation's physician population. Maisha Taylor writes at The Guardian that glossing over this all too common form of discrimination hurts the chances of attracting more sorely needed women of color to medicine. In other words, these recent airborne incidents aren't just potentially bad for business, they're possibly unhealthy for the public at large. Quote, to solve this problem will require a willingness by all Americans to discard their preconceived stereotypes and biases, Taylor wrote. That goes for on the ground and at 30,000 feet alike. And family, here is the tweet that Ashley Denmark tweeted 16 hours ago. And this was published, by the way, October 15th. She tweets, last week I flew Delta Airlines flight 2215 and I was not allowed to provide medical care to a passenger in need despite being a licensed physician. The flight attendant didn't believe I was a doctor and told me to have a seat while two nurses provided medical care to the passenger. A similar incident with African American OBGYN hashtag Tamika Cross occurred recently when she flew Delta and was also not allowed to provide medical care. Initially, because the flight attendant didn't believe she was a doctor. I have written about my experience last week with Delta with the hopes of shedding light on this unfair treatment from Delta Airlines. Please read and share. Hashtag what a doctor looks like, hashtag Delta, hashtag Delta Airlines, hashtag look like a doctor. And then she tweets down below here. This is Dr. Ashley Denmark. She tweets down below here. Discrimination 30,000 feet above by Dr. Ashley Denmark. So family, I wanted to share this with you. Recently, I've gotten some comments on my other vlog. The vlog that I did on Tamika Cross, the doctor who was discriminated against by the racist flight attendant on Delta Airlines. I've had a few commenters who was going back and forth with me about the fact that how do I know that the flight attendant was racist and blah 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 based on what she said and everything. And with all the material that's been published out there, it's quite obvious that this flight attendant was racist. Yes, she was a Russian woman, and yes, this was a woman-on-woman type of deal, but she was a racist woman, and despite the fact she was just being racist. Now that I've covered this second vlog on Dr. Ashley Denmark, I just want to make it clear that where there's smoke, there's fire. Here we have another case of another doctor who experienced the same thing. And here it is. They're reluctant to want to practice anymore because of this type of treatment. It's crazy. So family, it appears that Delta Airlines has a racist issue. They have a racial problem. A problem with black professionals, I would imagine, I guess. I think they need additional, quote, training. It's a shame that we have to go through this in the 21st century where black people are still having a fight to prove that we too can exceed, excel, and do great things. So I tip my hat to Dr. Ashley Denmark. I also tip my hat to Dr. Tamika Cross. For you ladies are role models, exemplary role models to our young women on what it takes to succeed with class. To you, I tip my hat off. Family, I'm going to end this vlog. If you have any comments, please leave them below. If you like this video, please like, share, and of course, if you haven't subscribed already, I'd appreciate it if you hit that button. This is Guru. Until next time, peace, love, and positive thinking. I'm out.